Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant concept from science fiction. It is a powerful force actively reshaping the very fabric of our daily existence. These complex systems are rapidly being woven into the critical infrastructure of our society, making decisions that were once exclusively the domain of human judgment. Who receives a life-saving organ transplant, which families are flagged for a social services investigation? What communities receive? Increased police patrols. When an algorithm makes a mistake or operates with an unseen bias, the consequences are not abstract. A flawed decision can profoundly harm a person's life, liberty, and pursuit of well-being, entrenching historical inequalities and creating new forms of discrimination that are difficult to see and even harder to challenge. This is precisely why we can no longer afford to develop these technologies without a dedicated focus on their moral implications. The rapid and often unregulated deployment of AI systems creates an urgent and pressing need for a new kind of expert, one who stands at the intersection of technology, policy, and human values, especially when they are deployed by powerful institutions like governments, large non-governmental organizations. A biased algorithm used in a criminal justice system, for example, doesn't just affect one person. It can perpetuate a cycle of injustice affecting entire communities for generations. A system that incorrectly allocates public benefits can deny essential resources to thousands of vulnerable individuals simultaneously. The challenge we face is that the harms caused by AI are often subtle and unintentional, buried deep within millions of lines of code hidden in the statistical patterns of vast datasets. Unlike a clear-cut policy decision that can be publicly debated, an algorithmic bias can operate silently, its negative effects accumulating over time until the damage is severe and widespread. This is not about assigning blame to malicious engineers, but about recognizing that even well-intentioned systems can produce deeply inequitable outcomes. The individuals who design these models are often focused on technical accuracy and efficiency, not on the complex social context in which their creations will operate. At its core, an AI ethicist is a professional who systematically examines the moral dimensions and societal impacts of AI systems. They act as a critical conscience within an organization, moving beyond whether a system can be built to ask whether it should be built, and if so, how it should be governed. Their primary function is to identify potential harms arising from design, analyze harms revealed in data, and help mitigate harms during deployment. This involves scrutinizing systems for issues like bias, lack of fairness, violations of privacy, insufficient transparency. They work to ensure automated systems respect fundamental human rights. The role is inherently interdisciplinary. They don't usually write the code, but they must understand ML foundations well enough to ask probing questions. They need grounding in philosophy, social science, and law to understand justice, due process, and discrimination across historical and contemporary contexts. This enables connecting statistical patterns in data sets to the social structures that produce them. An ethicist serves as a translator and bridge, communicating complex technical risks to non-technical policymakers and conveying nuanced societal concerns back to development teams in actionable terms. Within the government sector, an AI ethicist plays a particularly critical role as a guardian of public interest and democratic values. Governments are increasingly turning to AI to manage public services, allocating social benefits, optimizing city infrastructure, supporting law enforcement, national security operations. The scale of these systems means that any inherent bias or error can have massive and immediate consequences for citizens. An AI ethicist in a government agency helps to ensure these tools are used in a manner that is fair, transparent, and accountable to the public they serve. In NGOs and think tanks, AI ethicists serve a different but equally vital function. They act as independent watchdogs, holding corporations accountable and holding governments accountable for AI impacts. They amplify the voices of marginalized communities, ensuring those most at risk from algorithmic harm are not ignored. The daily work of an AI ethicist is far more practical and collaborative than one might imagine, blending deep analysis with hands-on communication and coordination. A significant portion of their time is spent in project reviews and consultations. This begins with them meticulously reading through project proposals, technical documentation, data sourcing plans for a new AI system. They might spend a morning dissecting the architecture of a proposed model designed to predict student dropout rates in a public school system. Their goal is to understand not just how the system works, but what assumptions are being made. They will critically question the data being used. Does it represent all student populations equally, or does it overrepresent certain demographics? The work of an AI ethicist is not based on vague intuition, but on a structured, methodical process to systematically de-risk projects. The first step: assess and understand intent and scope. Deep engagement with the project team to clarify fundamental questions. What specific problem is this AI system trying to solve? Who is the intended beneficiary? Who will be directly or indirectly impacted by its decisions? Document the system's stated goals and examine the data it will use. Scrutinize data provenance and quality. Is the data a fair and accurate representation of the real world? Or does it contain historical biases that could skew the model from the start? This foundational understanding feeds all later analysis. Second step: consult and map potential harms. Developers often miss ways a system can fail or cause harm. Conduct broad stakeholder consultations. Engineers and managers, domain specialists, representatives from affected communities. Example: for child welfare systems, talk to social workers, family advocates, parents. Map a wide range of potential harms: algorithmic bias, privacy violations, lack of due process. Center perspectives of those most at risk. Third step: recommend concrete changes and mitigation strategies. Translate analysis into actionable guidance for the development team. Recommendations are specific and practical. Example: audit finds a loan approval algorithm biased against rural applicants. Recommend incorporating alternative data sources. Example alternative: utility payment history. Implement a human-in-the-loop review for rejected applications. Provide clear reasons for every automated decision. Crucial for accountability and appeals.